How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Oliver with us, which is from UK, but now is based in North Carolina. So Oliver, tell us, and he's the founder of Loud Solutions. So tell us, what are the 5 steps that you have for tech entrepreneurs out there to make the first million? Either they are from UK, from US, from anywhere in the world. Tech entrepreneurs are struggling. They need to get the product market fit. So Oliver, tell us, what are the 5 step secrets?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks for having me, mate. I think I'm going to disappoint everyone because my answer is there isn't a 5-step process. If it was that easy, people would be doing it, and actually it would work all the time. So I don't have a step-by-step process, but I've got some nuggets that might help as someone who's got there. Look, my first bit of advice is fail fast, and fail often, right? And learn from those failures. So innovate and improve, because what you start doing is not going to be what you finish doing, and that's really, really important. And I think people really nowadays have a big blockage about wanting it to be perfect right from the start, and actually that's not helpful. You don't want that. You want to improve, you want to learn, you want to get data, and you want to improve what it is you're offering. On top of that is relationships, right? And people. And again, particularly focused on tech, that's really overlooked. I think people put too much pressure on the tech and the innovation. And actually, a huge part of success in any early stage organization is the people and the team that you're working with as well, right? Because if there's friction, or if there's a divide, or if there's if there's an issue, that is going to be compound into your organization. So yeah, that's another bit of advice for myself. So it's not a step-by-step process, but two pretty key nuggets to walk away with, in my opinion, Harry.
And let's expand on these ones, Oliver, because regarding your first statement, fail fast, is at the end of the day, tech entrepreneurs are going to, some of them, right? They are software developers and they love programming. And again, they jump into this mindset: my software has to be perfect, my software is going to change the world, my technology is going to revolutionize the industry. However, they are missing the point that they are running a business, and the more they love to write code, the more they love, they become so much product centric that my product is going to be so good that it's going to sell by itself. And Oliver, this is a little bit far from reality, exactly for what you described. Wherever you're starting off, for the 500, and this is go to all the industry, for the 500 millionaires that I interview in this podcast, I haven't found anybody yet that told me, Harry, you know what? The first product that I designed, how I did it, it was exactly what the client finally wanted. I'm still waiting for someone to tell me this. No one had told me yet. But the tech startup entrepreneurs, either the software developer or not, is so product centric. They think that they is not thinking that this product might need 5 iterations, 10 iterations in order to get to a product market fit. So, what do you think that this problem is out there, Oliver? What word of encouragement you have for the people out there that understand these concepts, they can move forward and they can get on stock?
Yeah. So let's just pull that apart, right? And you touched on something really critical there, and let's bring it back to probably what most of your listeners are most interested in, which is how do you get to a million in revenue as a tech founder, right? You have to be solving a problem. Your technology, I'm sorry to say, is relatively irrelevant. it doesn't necessarily matter, right? Which is going to break the hearts of a lot of different coders out there. But if you were to hyper focus on a problem and solve that problem, you're going to get to 1 million in sales much faster than worrying about the product, right, itself. Because the product itself, the only reason it exists is to solve a problem, right? So be hyper fixated on that problem, and the outcome is going to be 1 million in sales, right? And I think that's really overlooked, particularly at an early stage, right? Particularly with tech founders, is they lean into what they're really good at, which is the coding and the tech and the platform or the product, right? And I would urge people to flip that and look at the problem and solve the problem rather than the product.
Yeah, Oliver, like I described to you before, I'm in the podcast. I invest in the tech space, and I give a lot of advice to tech companies out there, and you find when I started to help entrepreneurs in this space, they were telling me, Harry, you don't understand. Tech is different. You coming from a different background, from different. I worked 5 years, by the way,
Yep.
doing software development in Java and Oracle when I was young,
Yep.
long time ago. Or the only job that I, the corporate job that I have in my life. Yes, well, long time ago, 25 years ago, and so I do understand a little bit about software. Yeah. Anyway, but when I start to go inside this to try to help this entrepreneur, I find I said no, Harry, because your businesses are different in industry. Tech is different, and Oliver, the more that I see tech, the more that I see that it follow the same parameters that the other businesses. If you exactly what you described, if you don't solve the problem and your product doesn't sell, I think that in the tech space at the beginning, it was a misconception. Obviously, there is a big benefit in tech, and that's why one out of six entrepreneurs that come here to this broadcast fight about to make the first million, they are tech millionaires, tech entrepreneurs. So it's of course you can make a lot of money in this industry. However, if when you have a business, when you solve a problem like you describing, and because of the tech companies have a higher valuation than other industry. For example, if you have a restaurant and you want to sell it, maybe okay, times 3, times 5 profit. And if you have, I don't know, if you have a barber shop, so every industry have a different multiple that for profit, and this is how much more or less you can set that business. However, when you come to tech, you find that these multiples is 10 times, 12 times, can it be even 20 times that valuation, because it's the particular characteristic of that industry that, well, because the data and the value that the data have, data and how you use that data, that justify a big evaluation and so on. But so, Oliver, how different is really tech business for the traditional business out there?
Yeah. Again, something else that you mentioned there that's really important, right? And not all revenue is valued the same in essence, right? And that's one of the core reasons that the tech market gets those much higher valuations, is because traditionally that revenue is recurring revenue, based on subscriptions, right? And recurring
Absolutely,
revenue,
you're 100% right. You get
right?
the cash flow
And that's
consistently, right?
correct, right? If you've got people coming, if you've got a subscription and someone giving you money every single month, like a Netflix of the world, right? As an investor or an enterprise looking to buy your business, they can see that revenue over the next year or two, right? They don't have to go out and do anything else. They have that
Easily.
subscription follower.
Yeah.
Therefore, they have that reoccurring revenue, and reoccurring revenue is absolutely critical. And that's something else I want to really hone in on to your listeners as well, is when you're thinking about your first million, think about what that actually means and where it's coming from as well, because $1 million in one-off in one-off payments is not the same business as $1 million in reoccurring revenue,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right? Right. And actually, I would argue that a business that's doing 500,000 in reoccurring revenue profits is far better than an organization that's doing $1 million in one-off payments, right? Because the following year, you don't have to go out and get another $1 million. You've done it yourself, right? So yeah, and to answer your question, how different is tech to other industries? I mean, again, people aren't going to like my answer here, but all industries like to think that they're unique and different and difficult. It's the same. It's business, right? And
I
it
agree
comes back to
100% with you. I agree
yeah,
100% with you. And the more that I see tech, the more because now the venture capitalists and the angel investor, they have become very savvy now, right?
yeah,
It's not like before that you go with a piece of paper and you tell a story and they're gonna hang over, because there were those days, Oliver. There was those day back in the day that you are a tech entrepreneur, you have a piece of paper, you have a beautiful story, and these people would throw money at you. But those days are
yeah,
gone.
gone.
This is not the case anymore, correct?
Correct. No, it's absolutely gone, and it's not coming back anytime soon. Is the reality? It really isn't. I think people are still waiting and they're hoping and they're like, yeah, next year will be different, right?
It's not
Um,
coming back. It's not coming back exactly
it's
anyway
it's not
soon.
coming
So,
back. No,
so
it's not coming back. The reality traction and profitability and recurring revenue is the new idea.
mm,
Um, because that's if you're looking for venture capital or even private equity, that's the only way you're going to get it. And that's the third and final point on tech as a specific industry, and what they do well is data, right? And
mm,
utilizing that data accordingly and
mm.
storing that data as well, because that data can then be utilized, as we've seen and heard about the goods and the bad over the last couple of years. So
But but again, Oliver, then we have this issue, yeah, that again you have the coders and the software developers. They are so in love with the product, they're so in love with the technology, they so in love that now they want to incorporate AI, and all what they really want, and then they go out there and all they're looking is for funding. They're looking for money to the investor to keep writing the code, to keep writing the software. It's somehow the word MVP, minimum viable product, very easy in this industry. Everybody forget about this M. Yeah,
yeah,
everybody. When you have
yeah,
coders and software developers in the space, oh, this M of MVP, they forget about this M and all that they're doing. And if they don't find the money out there, they will remortgage the house. They will ask money from friend and family, whatever
yeah,
it takes. But because they love this writing the code, they love the product, and uh, so and then again, all of a sudden, the whole thing collapsed, and it's sad because they use the money from their own personal capital. They use money from family and friends, and they want to skip without knowing the natural process of growing a tech of growing a tech company. So how important do you think that is coaching and mentoring in this space? How important is to find someone like you that you come from the other space? Yeah, I don't know your background, by the way. I don't know if you can be software developer or not, but this is what we find out in this podcast, that most of the tech millionaires that have come to this podcast, very little percentage are software developers. And those ones that are software developers, they come to this podcast and they spend the whole time speaking about sales, marketing, how to sell the product, when the next lead is gonna come. I'm speaking with those guys. I say, guys, you don't look like software developer to me. You said that you're a programmer and you came to a podcast and you spend the whole hour talking about sales, marketing, how people gonna buy the product and so on. So you don't look so what is it, Oliver? It's not that
yeah,
there. I think it's a misconception. People see the Mark Zuckerberg and the Google guys, and I don't know. Well, Steve Jobs was not
yeah,
even a developer. It was so people see those software developers, geeks, and that they become a gazillion, multimillionaire, and the software developers might think that they can get there, and of course they can. but they have to make a massive shift in their mindset, and they really have to become an entrepreneur. And for that, probably they need to let go, or not be, not put so much time,
Yeah.
money and effort in what they love, which is actually write code. So how we close this gap? So less companies fail. There is a massive failure all over the world. You know it, US, UK, everywhere you go. There is a lot of people talk about their success. Even in this podcast, people even might think that is easy because they say, "Oh, every 6 people that come to Harry's podcast how to make the 5 million, that millionaire in tech. So I'm going to take and I'm going to become a millionaire." So how easy it really is, Oliver?
So a few things. First, I talked about failure right at the start of the podcast, and what I really refer to as failure is data and iteration, right? And the biggest mistake that I see from any founder, right, is living and breathing in their echo chamber, right? And that's the most dangerous thing that you can do. Okay, what you want to be doing consistently is asking people's opinion of the product, right? And asking people's opinion that actually probably don't know anything about the product at all. Because that's the only person's opinion that should really matter. Right. And you asked about mentoring and coaching. Yeah, it's absolutely vital. Right. You need to be utilizing and expanding your own network as aggressively as humanly possible. And the question to that statement might be, well, why? And the answer is to gain real life information about the work and the product that you have, but the work that you're doing. Because without it, you're going to be working on the same thing and hitting your head against the same problem without actually going back to solving a problem, right? And without it, no one's going to use the business, whether it's a tech business or not. And look, you also asked. No, I'm not a coder. I don't come from a technical background. My experience is building and scaling businesses, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what my business, Loud Solutions, now does. Right, we work specifically with founders across a range of different industries, including tech, and support them from an early stage and allow them to get to a scalable business faster than they would if they weren't to utilize an organization like ours.
So then, Oliver, the other point that I want to stretch is when it comes to to um, you t- some tech entrepreneurs that have become with this podcast. I asked them before. I asked them if you had to start all over again, and they had told me, Harry, if I had to start all over again, the thing that I would put more attention would be culture. They say if I knew that this tech business is gonna take me 100 times more effort than what I thought, I will be paying more attention to these few people at the beginning that start this journey with me. I will be less conflicted and more embrace it. I will make sure that everybody knew that I bring to organization meet the culture, and we need to say that the culture when you're doing an startup an early stage is like, we don't sleep, let's do it. But again, with this business growth and you have 100 employees or 20 employees, even you have 50 employees, you cannot pretend that 50 people with them not sleeping, let's do it. So that culture that culture had to change. So but how important, because was one of your points at the beginning, how important do you think that is culture and the people? You say that is more important the people and the problem that they're solving actually than the technology that they are developing, and this is really powerful. Um, can you can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah,
this?
yeah, love that. It's the only thing, right? So what is everyone really looking for? It's growth, right? It's what you're looking for. If you're at an early stage, you're looking for growth, and if you're a founder, you're looking to grow the business. That growth is irrelevant if it is not one of two things. One, sustainable, right? Because otherwise you're going to have to do it all over again, and you're going to realize it's 100 times harder than you thought it was, and at that point you're going to say, no way, I can't do this anymore. right? Or two, if you don't enjoy it. And what's culture? Well, culture is enjoyment, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
joy. And if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point,
Mm.
right? And so many people, you know, over the last 10, 20 years have been white knuckling it, right? And have been gripping and pushing and grinding. Um, and then all of a sudden they get there, if they're one of the lucky ones that do manage to do that. And then 15, 20 years have gone past and they've realized that actually they've been miserable the whole time, and that what they were looking for and the success that they were hoping to get hasn't solved the problems that actually they already had in their business, in their lives, or in their businesses anyway, right? Culture, enjoyment, joyfulness at work is the only success measure that someone should be looking for, really, right? Sure, and look, that's easy perhaps for me to say, I guess, or it always feels like that as someone else. Um, and if you're driven by success in its Western term and money and $1 million, then great, absolutely. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm telling you to go and do that. But I'm also telling you to stop and smell the roses every once in
Mm.
a while, because otherwise, what's
What's
the
the
point?
point? Yeah. And then and this is where the friction starts, Oliver, because the um there are two different words, right? Writing a code, software development, and then marketing, sales, product market fit, and these people have to be in the same room. These people have to be able to talk to themselves friendly. They need to love each other, but it's like they speak different languages. This is like one of them is speaking Russian, the other one is speaking Chinese. The sales and marketing said, listen, this is what the product that the client wants, and you have to do it in this way. And then you have on the other time the software development team. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do it this way because it's expensive and it costs money to do it. So you go out there and find another client and the one what we have because this is a startup and we don't have money and this go back and forward and that so what is the recipe, what is the recipe to have our harmony, to have a communication, who is right and who is wrong in this dynamic, yeah,
Yeah,
because on the other hand the marketing and sales, you know, if you go and you speak with everybody out there, everybody out there we're gonna tell you that they want the product in a different form adapted to it. However, if you ask to a lot of people, you will find out that there are few group of people, there are few people that are asking you that they want the product and they're willing to pay for it in a certain form. Now you need to communicate this to the development team, and the development team say, no way, I don't have money. If they don't buy as it is, you marketing and sales need to go and finding people that want it in the way it is because we don't have money. So how
yeah,
we close this gap, how we solve this, and this have a big impact in culture. So who's right, who's wrong, who should be listened, how we mitigate this problem. What is the line? I hear that some tech founders have come to the podcast and say, Harry, in my tech company, I draw a line. Tech is tech, marketing and sales. Nobody goes inside the other word. they,
yeah,
they communicate, but it's draw the line. I don't care how they're doing the software. They need to develop what we need. But when it comes to marketing and sales, they need to listen what we want and they need to give the piece of software how we want it because this is the client is who's paying and we have to deliver it to him how he wanted. So how we go about this dynamic, which is actually one of the main reasons that tech companies are not growing
yeah,
fast enough and eventually failing.
yeah. Um, so what you're really referring to there, and the the solution to that problem is communication,
Hmm.
right? In its rawest form, and either a lack of communication or unclear communication. And I think all of those issues that you've highlighted would be mitigated through simple and direct communication. And look, this is an interesting one for me because this is the world that I live in, and my business helps early stage organizations find co-founders, for example, and hire hire heads of specific
Wow.
departments right at an early stage. Um, and the data and information that we have is interesting. We thought that experience would be the biggest variable for a successful co-founder or early stage head of for success, right? Because you'd need an industry expert, right? Actually, what we found is personality type and an individual people fit is far more important for a successful organization, which is fascinating, right? Because actually we're saying, well, the experience doesn't necessarily matter as much, but if the four people, that have started this business all together and they love working with each other and they can communicate and each, brings a specific bit of value to the business, that's more impactful, right? Well, in that case, people need to start relooking at their business plans and relooking at who they've got around their equity board table. So communication is the direct answer, and finding co-founders and people at an early stage that you actually enjoy working with, because then it means those difficult conversations, whether it's from your tech team or your marketing team, is much more manageable. I'm not saying you can't have them. I'm not saying you shouldn't have difficult conversations. You should, but have difficult conversations with people that you're close with and that you want to build something with, because otherwise it gets frictionous.
So when it comes to a decision making, because this is the other thing that we find in the tech space, that more of these a lot of these software developers, you see, they work for companies, they make a lot of money, right?
Mm,
And they start their own business, their own startup. But now they come into the startup as founder, as a major shareholder, and they saying things like, "Well, this is not my job. I only here write code. Your job is to sell." So you cannot talk like this is no a company, a job in a company. This is your business. Everything is your job. And then you
yeah,
go and
correct.
you find it in the startup world, C-level positions and the team, that they're telling you phrases that come that they're very normal and useful in corporate, but it doesn't apply to the earlier
Yeah,
stage startup kind of environment. But this is what they learn. This is what they know. They don't know any better. It's not that they of course they don't want bad for the company, but they are used to a
sure.
culture in corporate which is completely different than the culture that they need to develop in an early stage startup world.
Yeah. Well, look, there has to be one voice in any organization. There has to be a decision maker, right? And you've seen and heard it time and time again. When there's been, two people at the top of the pyramid, it creates problems. Is the reality. Um, but more importantly, is articulating why a decision is made. Right. So not necessarily this is the decision and off we go and that's it, stick with it, right? That type of management style isn't effective anymore. We have to get really good as leaders and founders, um, of articulating why a decision has been made, right? And articulating why it impacts them, whether it's tech or whether it's marketing or whichever department it might be, right? And relate that back to the mission and the value of the organization, and perhaps even more important than that, bring it back to the problem that you're solving, right? The decision is X, and we've made that decision because it solves the problem that we're eventually trying to solve faster, better, and more cohesively. That is the reason why we've made that decision, right? And in an ideal world, you would get those individuals to buy into that during the decision making process and actually get them to make that decision for you, right? So you're not telling them what the decision is. Actually, they're coming to that decision themselves, and that's really where you start to get change.
Then the other thing, Oliver, is about what we call it the distribution of shares, because eventually these startup teams, right? they might need to bring a company, a coach, a mentor, a company that specialize in what you do, that need to lead them to scale up, and they're gonna start to listen things like that they don't like, that you want to take 80% of the budget to market the product, that you're going to do a lot of things that they don't like. This is not what they believe. They actually looking for funding to keep writing the software, to keep make as huge, as big as possible the MVP. And but then they hold in a majority of shares, that they have a decision making. And to be honest, they don't know how business work. They are not an entrepreneur. They just left the corporate job and they're trying to do a startup, and they hold in a majority of shares and taking decisions in things that, again, because they haven't practiced enough, because they haven't failed enough. Being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. It's like driving a car, or swimming. You don't learn in the book. That's why, very positively you shared at the beginning, fail fast, because what is behind those lines, and we want all the audience to understand, is that what Oliver is trying to articulate here is, you need to develop the skill or become an entrepreneur. This is a skill. You need to practice. The more you practice, the better you become. So you have to fail and fail and reiterate. So you develop the skill in the same way that when you
Mm.
drive in a car, at the beginning, you don't know that much. But if you practice enough, you will be able to. You are not allowed to do that, by the way. But some people even drive and speak on the phone, right? They have so much the skill. However, what everybody is missing is that if you have this driver mentor next to you, uh, you can get faster there. You can get saved there. You can save your life if you listen some tips that this person that is teaching you, that is being a support for you, getting you there for you to improve the skill. And this is what a coach is, what a mentor is in tech space. It's not somebody that is coming to tell you what to do. It's not going. However, what are the challenges, in the decision taking process when you bring let's see, a coach, a mentor, an accelerator, someone that literally specializes in this, and they are not ready for it. They definitely doesn't want to give you so much shares, because they don't want you to have control, because you want to do something that they're not even want to do. But it's
Yeah.
the only way that the company is going to move forward. So, and yet they think that they will have the control of the company forever, without knowing that, hey, you only did the product. This is even 20% of the whole company. So a lot of 80% of the company is gonna come people that know about how to market this, how to scale this, and these people need to be compensated effectively with shares. And so you cannot keep a large amount of shares, where the people that will drive the growth and the success of the business, they are bringing not only knowledge and expertise, they're bringing knowledge, expertise, resources, and funds, and they deserve to be compensated accordingly, and they deserve also to have some power, some consideration in the decision making process, because they are the only ones at the moment that know how to grow a company. Actually, the rest of the team, they've been employees before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it you have to do your research. Is the reality, right? And for people that haven't done, yes, yeah. So yeah, particularly for individuals that haven't worked in that manner, and haven't worked at an early stage, or a tech company in general, you have to go into decisions in a well-informed manner, right? And that means doing some research, and then link it back to what it is you're looking for, right? Link it back to what it is that you need to have, and if that's a seat at the table and a decision making a card to play, then you need to negotiate that beforehand, and be very, very clear with your expectations. But there is the information out there, right? And people can do this type of research themselves, and I would urge them to do so.
So if people want to know more, Oliver, about what you do, how can you help early stage um, uh, founders to grow the company? I know that it's a very challenging job that you do. Is you have to take a lot on, and and it's really really difficult because when people are starting a tech company and they're thinking that the product is going to be perfect from the first time and they're going to become a multimillionaire really easy, and a VC is going to come and they're going to give them $2 million straight away to do X, Y, and Z, and it actually doesn't work that way. And
No,
unfortunately, it's you who need to go down and break it down for them and tell them check of reality, and nobody
that's
likes
it.
this. They might
No,
fire you because they don't want to hear anything that you want to say, which is actually the reality. They want to keep living in the bubble and spending money out of the bubble until they believe, and you coming with a reality check,
yeah,
and they don't like that. So I know that the job that you're doing is priceless, because at the end of
yeah,
the day, you if you put them in the right framework, they actually have a chance to succeed, a chance
that's
in
it.
a very
That's it.
competitive. So tell us a little bit more about how the process works, how people how tech founder can find you,
Yeah,
um, and a little bit more. Yeah,
cool.
how can you help them?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. So, look, we don't exist for everyone, is the
Absolutely.
reality. But if you're a founder or an executive and you want to scale smarter and grow faster,
Mm.
then that's exactly what we can help you do.
And if you're
Uh,
coachable, and if you're
coachable,
coachable,
coachable, absolutely flexible. All of those things. It's it takes a team, right? It takes a team because the reality is the numbers are against you. The numbers will say that your business will fail, right? And if it doesn't
Mhm.
fail this year, it will probably fail next year. And what we do as an organization is limit the amount that happens and improve the percentage of you getting to success. And how we do that is we are ultra focused on the early stage, and we bring a host of executives with exactly that experience
Wow.
into your experience and give that advisory and mentor support, as well as all of the processes and platforms that you actually need to get there. So yeah, Loud Solutions. You can find us at loudsolutions.com. My name's Oliver Peters. You can find me on LinkedIn, which is where I spend most of my time. Yeah, but if you're at an early stage and looking to grow, we've probably got a solution that can help you do that.
Thank you so much, Oliver. And with that note, see you in now. Have been a pleasure, yeah,
Absolute
to
pleasure,
have you
Harry. Thanks.
here.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having me on.
I'm very excited about the topic because I know the pain that is out there, and it's a little bit frustrating because I'm trying to help those guys out there, and I'm like, guys, I'm begging you, focus in something else. You're gonna fail badly. This doesn't work, and but I'm glad that you are out there. Yes, because next time I know. Next time, but I send them to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's
So
us.
you see, so
Send them our way. They might not hear. They
uh,
might not like what they hear, Harry, but we'll get them
I
outside of
know,
their
I
own
know, I
echo
know.
chamber.
So what can I do? You see, I'm telling. I decided that now I'm telling them the thing. They get upset with me. I say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna send in the podcast to say, okay, listen to all of it. You see, you think
Yeah,
that I'm talking nonsense? Well, listen to
yeah,
people that actually doing
that's
this,
it.
that doing this every day, and you will see. But anyway, if the founder is willing to, I think, Oliver, to put the business before the ego and to really do something meaningful, I agree 100% that there will be a very good fit for what you do, guys. But again, if the mindset is not there, it's gonna be a challenge because it's not easy. Yeah, and I always send this message from this broadcast because a lot of tech millionaires have been in this broadcast, loads of them, and I don't want that the people listening in the car they be thinking, you know what, these hookers I know that you can become millionaire in tech easy because you see, I'm listening Harry podcast and then a lot of them have done it. So I'm gonna start my tech company and I'm gonna make a million easy. Well, it doesn't really work that well. I'm sorry to break it down to you. I'm not gonna say that it's hard because we don't believe that anything is hard. We want to all the entrepreneurs to be healthy, happy and wealthy from this podcast. So, okay, I'm gonna a last question to you, Olivier. It is really hard to become a millionaire in a tech space, or there are few key principles that if you're humble enough to embrace them, it can get you really far, really fast. What is your opinion? Is it that hard become a millionaire in the tech space?
It's it's definitely hard, and anyone that tries to tell you that it's not is
They're trying to
either
sell you something.
they're trying to sell you something.
They want to take your
It's
money.
yeah, correct. It's absolutely hard and it's close to impossible, but it is doable, right? And there's principles that you can do and take on along the way, and innovating, improving, iterating is a really good start. Focus on the problem, right, and solve a problem, and do a really good job building, maintaining, and growing your network. Because the reality is you can get there and you can do it and you could do it alone, but it's going to take you a long time and it's going to be very, very difficult. And the smartest people out there know that actually it takes a team and it takes a group to get to where you want to get to. So do a really good job building that network and making some friends along the way, because if you really want to get there, if you really want to go through that painful journey of getting to a million in your own tech firm, you're probably going to need a good team around you.
Thank you so much. And with that note, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Oliver break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for
Thanks,
now.
Harry.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.